Hello. Hello, we're live. Welcome to Between Two Ferms, like you've never seen it before. Thanks for joining us on Friday evening. I think everyone's joining mainly on YouTube Live. If you're over on Facebook Live, thanks for joining us there as well. I think we're going to be taking the interactions and comments from the YouTube Live. So if you want to give us abuse, or just shout at us, or enter the competition that's going to be happening, YouTube Live's where it's at. YouTube Live's new to Joe.
Yeah, just my first time on YouTube Live.
So the disconcerting thing here is that we got as you know, the last two episodes of what's now called Between Two Ferms was run off a webcam off my laptop, and then several phones that were at the wrong angle and looking at us the wrong way. So we said we get a friend in who does proper like live streaming production, and now we've got like high def cameras and we look horrible. The old webcam was very forgiving. Joe went away and got his hair cut, got his beard trimmed, got his eyebrows taken in a little bit. I didn't have time to do that, so I look horrendous. The high def is just a killer. Okay, but anyways, we're going to stick to the schedule this evening. We've got some brilliant guests. We've got some phenomenal beer, and we have got some stuff to give away, and we've got some funny stuff, hopefully throughout. We are going to be trying to do this more regularly, so the guests thing is a natural thing, I think. We've got some people who we know who we'd like to interview, like to meet.
I want it to be entertaining for everybody stuck at home, you know.
Yeah.
Not everybody's as fortunate as we are to work in a brewery and to know the people that we know. So we'd like to spread the wealth a bit on that and bring you in entertain you.
One of the things that's interesting here is that as Ireland is in the middle of this, we're not going to mention the C word, but we're in the middle of this kind of pandemic, we're going to look at people who are dealing with it differently in different countries. And what's interesting is that some of these guys are seeing green shoots, and some of them are maybe ahead of us in how they're dealing with it. So one of those is going to be joining us in a couple of minutes is Johnny Nolan, who runs Johnny's Off License in Rome. We're going to have Ken Grossman joining us later on, and then we also have a case of Malafamena. So you know Italian, Joe?
A little bit.
What does
Poco Italiano.
What does Joe study? Joe went to Italy when he came here first, and he came back and immediately started taking Italian classes.
I fell in love with Italy and the Italian language. A lot of people probably know that Americans aren't very good with extra languages. We learn English. I think because it's such a big place, we don't really have to, you know, do that, except for maybe Spanish. And if you're in the northern part of the country where I'm from, you might learn some French because of the Canadians. So when I first moved here and we started traveling all the time, we were going to Italy like myself and Paul. It seemed like every other month, sometimes more than once a month. It seemed like we're just always in Italy. And I just took the opportunity to say, you know what, I've got a reason to learn a language now, and it's such a beautiful language, and the people there are amazing. So yeah, so I learned a little bit of Italian, and I was getting really good at it, and then we stopped going.
Yeah, we're not there as much. But because Joe knows Italian, our quiz is going to be run in Italian about Italy. Okay, so here's the premise for the quiz. We've got one case of Malafamena. It's sitting over there. It's the last case that exists of this beer. It's sitting here in the brewery, and we've kept it for tonight to give away. So how it's going to work is there's a term, a word that you have to guess. We're going to give you 3 clues, and if you guess it, you've got to take the term, go to our web store, and select the Malafamena on the store, and you'll notice that it's 0 priced, but you have to use the term to buy the beer. Okay? So, the first clue, Joe's going to read it out. It's pretty tricky. But remember, Italy, Ireland, and that's it.
Are you doing the English version?
Start with this one, maybe.
Can we start with the
Start with
the
this
Italian?
one. I'll do the English one, actually, yeah.
I do the English one there first, and then.
So basically, I'll read out the English one, which is, from where he lives, he can almost see the rains down in Africa.
And then we want the Italian one.
Do the Italian one.
Da dove vive? Oh man, I don't know this one. Riesce quasi a vedere la pioghe in Africa.
It's very funny to put a foreign language in front of someone for the very first time when they're live on camera.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the quiz. If you know the answer, go to the website, try to buy the beer. If you buy the beer, then the answer is right. If you can't buy the beer, it's not working. All right, so without further ado, oh, by the way, last thing, if you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube, please share it on social so you'll pull more people in and people will join, because we've only got like 200 subscribers. We want people to see this live because we've got some great guests. So without further ado, we have Johnny Nolan from Johnny's Off Licenses joining us from Rome live. He's the collaborator on the double IPA, something we've been planning with him for a long time, and it just so happens that it's come to fruition during the lockdown in Italy. And so we're going to hopefully have Johnny joining us from Rome.
Hiya.
Ciao, Johnny.
Good evening.
Ciao,
Ciao.
Johnny.
Come state?
Oh, I'm done for already.
Sto bene. Sto bene.
So what you'll notice is that Johnny has a big Irish head and not dissimilar to my own. And one of the things we want to tease out is how Johnny ended up in Rome, running a couple of bottle shops and also taking delivery of really good Irish beer and getting it into the Italian market. So Johnny, welcome.
How you doing? How you, Bob?
So,
Well, it all started at...
I
Go
know
for
there's
it.
a delay, so I'm going to let you talk for a little while about
All
these
right.
questions.
Right, we got up. We started up the store here in Rome in about 2004, just as the whole craft beer business was starting to come to light in Italy. Before that, like, there was very little choice really that you can get, like everywhere, I suppose. But we were one of the first ones then to approach the whole craft beer scene. We opened up the first off license in Italy, so beers, wines, and spirits that was unheard of before. And things at the beginning were a bit difficult, as you can guess, with the language, with getting into the whole rigmarole of things and to get things working properly. But we didn't take into account a very important factor in our growth, was the fact that all the people can stand right outside the door and drink.
Yeah, that's the cultural thing
Which
that
was-
doesn't happen here in off licenses, right?
No, not at
You're
all.
from North Dublin, right? So you'd know if this happened outside off licenses.
Yeah, to be war.
Yeah, but
No,
it's
no,
part of
the
appeal
craft-
of drinking in Italy, right?
Yes, yeah. Well, when you from the north to the south of Italy, the way people go and socialize is a lot different. So a lot of people here in Rome, they like the outdoor living. You go for your ice cream, you go for your aperitif, and then the beer scene all kind of just fitted into this aperitif after dinner drink and stuff, and so it just took off. People are very kind of they were very interested in finding and trying something new. Just listening to the echo.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No.
So what's interesting for us is that you've always had our beer in your shop from the first time we went to Italy, but
Yeah.
also other Irish craft breweries and
Yeah.
and spirits. And it's interesting that
Well,
you've been
being
such an
Irish-
active promoter.
Being Irish, we've tried to promote a lot of Irish breweries in Italy. So from the beginning, like, we brought down independent brewery from Connemara, Kevin, And we also had a collaboration brew with him, the Currach Dove. And then we had a Boyne brewery, yeah, O'Brothers, Rascals. There's a whole long list of breweries, but we also think that the Irish brewery scene is very, at the moment, I think it's very, very interesting. The beers that are coming out of Ireland are, for me, incredibly fresh. They're getting here super quickly, and they're really starting to make a huge impact on the whole craft beer scene in Italy.
Well, that brings me to this beer, something we've talked about for months, and it really only left here last Friday afternoon, 3 o'clock. Went by refrigerated transport all the way to you, dropped to your courier, was dropped at your door. There's a really good picture, yeah, there's a really good picture of you in your basement with the cans stacked right up to the ceiling. So
Yeah.
I'll let you and Joe maybe take that and talk about the beer.
It's crazy. Hey Joe, how you doing?
How's it going, Johnny? Didn't mean to cut you off there. I was just going to say, maybe you could explain to us, because the inception of this beer started with you and you understanding your market. So, and then us having the conversation, you might maybe explain that to people how this started, eh?
Well, at the beginning, like when White Hag arrived here to the store, we had the Irish IPA, the Session IPA, we had the Imperial Stout, and we were missing something in the between there, which the Italians are big into big beers. They like their heavy beers, they like a nice taste. And it's not about just drinking one, they'll have maybe 5 or 6 of them in an evening.
Yeah.
But I think that might come from the wine and the spirits. So every time they sit down at a dinner table, they'll have a glass of wine and a digestive afterwards and whatnot.
Yeah.
But then a funny thing happened. The Fionn arrived. And the Fionn was probably one of our biggest sellers for about 3 months, and then it disappeared again. So we had to get something back in on that.
Yeah.
And so I really wanted to have a collaboration brew with you guys. The beers are fantastic, super fresh. And the idea was that maybe we come up with a double IPA that is going to knock the socks off, I'd say, any other beer that's available in Italy at this moment.
Yeah, I mean, on my end, this was something that was talked about. Like Bob said, there was a couple months in the making, and then one of my favorite ways to do collab is when, especially in a situation like this, is to get when you have at least one of the parties has an idea of exactly what you want and exactly what should be done, then it makes, because that's the hardest part. The hardest part is always figuring out what style, and then the easy part's designing it. So when you were listing out the things that you thought you'd like to see in this beer, I was actually really excited because, like, from my point of view, I'm a huge fan of the West Coast kind of IPAs, and a little bit more intense. I like fruity, but I also like a little bit of that, the intensity of the old school kind of IPA. And so, from what you described to me, I felt like this was kind of somewhere in between those. So, like, it wasn't going to be, you didn't want it super bitter, but you also we didn't want sweet. There was not going to be any lactose. Also, not looking like milk soup. So
exactly.
There's almost every IPA out there is like that, and we make them that way. You got to give people what they want. So when you said not hazy, I was like, we can do that, and I wasn't gonna wasn't going to argue with you. So,
Crack it open.
But the great
All
thing
right, let's
about
crack
this
it
beer, I
open.
think, that is, it's like it's a double IPA for the summer. It's
Yeah,
something that you can
it
sip,
has
you
that.
can drink. It's not heavy.
Yeah, that's the thing is, and I can actually talk a little bit how I came to do it. And I'm gonna pour for everybody here. Waiting for our
I'll pour for myself.
snap cameraman over there. So, the one thing I will say, especially now, like since it is so fresh, we just canned this was last week or whatever. But sorry, I'll bring it up to this camera. So there's definitely going to be a haze to it because we don't filter anything. But that haze isn't the murk that you would get from like the unfined, unkettle-fined kind of style of IPA. That little bit of haze in there is just from the sheer amount of dry hops. So the other thing that I did, because you talked about how you wanted to see a little more balance on it, so not bitter but not sweet, we added a little bit of dextrose. So the dextrose is just a corn sugar that kind of we can add on to get a little bit of more alcohol without adding a lot of extra body. So if you go 100% barley malt, you're going to get a lot of more unfermentable sugars. Where the dextrose, the yeast is happy to tear through it. You can add a little bit of alcohol without going crazy on the body, so you get a little more balance and then hop wise, I'm trying to remember. I should have actually looked it up. Use a lot of we've got a bunch of new Idaho 7 in that was really super fresh that I got, came from Crosby Hop Farms, and definitely pump some Citra in there. And one of my favorite hops is Mosaic. So Idaho 7, Citra, and Mosaic. With the Idaho 7, you get a little bit of that kind of classic piney notes, but it's like a fruity pine, and it has plenty of tropical notes on top of it, and actually a little bit of what I call like a cannabis character. It has that like modern cannabis is really dank but fruity. It's kind of a between the two worlds of fruit and dank. And then obviously with Citra, you're going to get the tropical notes, but also a punchy kind of hop hit. So, and then Mosaic comes in with that fruity blueberry passion fruit thing. So I think all in all, like I was saying, I was really happy with how it came out.
We were so excited about this beer arriving, you have no idea. We've got half of Rome looking forward to get their hands on it tomorrow. So tomorrow we're actually putting it out for sale tomorrow. But the thing I have to say is that the minute you crack open the can, that fresh smell of hops, the citrus, the passion fruit, mandarin, it's just incredible. It just kind of envelops the air. And then the drinkability is scary.
Yeah, it's
But
no, that's sick. Would you maybe tell us a little bit about the label? Because as far as who we are here,
yes, this is a good friend of ours.
The monitors over here. Yeah.
This label, we had it created by a good friend of ours called Ivan Capelli. He's a tattoo artist here in Rome. And we were thinking about a new idea for the label, something a bit more aggressive, because the market is changing as well. So, and you know yourself, the label is half the battle when you're going to sell something. So, and so he came up with this incredible design of this kind of Buddha monkey drinking the beers. So so the second thing was then to put a name to this beer. So it had to be something cheeky. Yes, because it's a cheeky beer. it's a beer that as you drink it, you have your second one. You drink the first one, kind of, you go, oh yeah, that was lovely, I'll have another one. But then when you have the second one, it kind of creeps up on you. Yeah, no, but
The name is,
yeah, if you want to,
is it slightly controversial? The name,
Mala Femmina.
is it?
See,
Yeah.
it's a famous song from Naples about a lady of disrepute. But
Yeah.
but
Okay, that's enough of that
that's
now.
the whole.
Time to go.
But it's a
But
famous
anyway,
song,
if you
like,
want to
it's almost
follow him, his Dad Duarte's on Instagram, and he's an incredible tattoo artist as well.
we'll have to we'll find a way to get a link to his stuff there later on when this thing goes. You probably can't do it
We'll
now.
we'll put all the links into the YouTube comments under the video and on Facebook as well. The guys are working on it there. He's actually his symbol, which I think is similar to what Prince was once called. It's on the side, but I don't think that's searchable. But that is his tag, I think. Yeah, we'll have them linked.
Well, I think you guys did an incredible job on the beer. We're just super excited. It's probably the beer of the year.
Brilliant.
Like to hear that.
Brilliant.
Glad you're happy. We're happy for sure.
Well, look, one thing we wanted to talk to you about, Johnny, was the fact that you guys have suffered a lot in Italy in the last couple of months, and no one has escaped. But there's green shoots happening, right? So before we let you go, we wanted to just kind of get you to give us a sense of what is life like at the moment in Rome, and what do you see happening over the next couple of months?
It's been a bit of a shock to the system, and I think it's been a shock to everybody's system what's going on at the moment. Italy was one of the first places to have a complete lockdown, and it was kind of a very unusual situation. We closed the shop just for one day to understand what the whole thing was going on, and then I ran the shop for 3 weeks by myself, just in the morning time until 2 o'clock, and then now we got a chance to get our online shop up and running. So now there's 2 of us back, and we're still doing half days, but hopefully there's a light at the end of the tunnel now. On Monday, the 4th of May, now the other shops should be allowed open. So hopefully there'll be some more people out and about, and gradually, hopefully, the economy will come back up, and people will be out selling or buying, let's say. But it's still very how do you say it, localized to the local areas. You're not allowed to move from one area to the other. There's no gathering. The restaurants can't open. The pubs can't open. They can open to deliver, but
to that, you're not allowed to congregate outside, which is, for me, the real beauty of culture in Italy is drinking on the street, outside really good small bottle shops and bars.
You got the weather.
Yeah.
So in the summer, people don't want to be inside.
No.
Yeah, but
we'll see anyway.
Think, yeah?
Hopefully, like at the moment, I hope for everybody's sake, because there's so many people in a very kind of precarious situation at the moment with business, that it's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
No, it's going to take time.
Yeah.
I think it's going to take a while, because we have to understand what has to be done.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, we really appreciate you taking time to join us today.
In the meantime, we'll drink.
Today is actually a public holiday. We know that you've come into the shop to join us when the shop is closed, because you have to be closed today. And we really
My pleasure.
it. We wish you all the best for the next couple of months before we get a chance to see you. We should be there hopefully in the autumn if things go well. And until then, mind yourself, let us know how tomorrow goes. And of course, if anyone's going to Italy who's watching, come and see you.
And if anyone wants to buy anything, our website should be open to Europe now next Tuesday. So johnnysofflicense.com.
That's
So
it.
you've got
That was-
Festinuda.
We've got,
You've got Festinuda.
and you can
there,
buy
I think.
Malafemina.
Or if you can't win it on the site tonight, you go to Johnny's directly back from Italy. Okay, we're going to let you go. Thanks a million, Johnny.
Thanks very
Cheers for joining us.
Thanks, Johnny.
That's Johnny Nolan's. Anyone who's been to Rome, or if you're going to Rome, anyone who hasn't been there should definitely visit it. Phenomenal spot, and hell of a nice guy. Okay, question 2 we have for the quiz. So I don't think has the store hasn't been attacked yet, has it? No. Okay, prize hasn't been won yet. So I'm gonna let Joe lead with the Italian for the second hint. Or
Second
clue.
question.
Second question. Joe, by the way, Joe has no idea what this is about, by the way. So
I actually don't know.
yeah.
Domande 2. Perché Pacquier non io ha fermato? There's actually no English to that, so
Yeah,
I'm assuming you know what that means.
yeah. It says why did Pacquier not stop him?
There you go.
Why did Pacquier not stop him? Anyways,
Perché
if you're
Pacquier
just joining us,
non
if you
io
understand what the clue leads to,
affermato.
what the term is, you got to go to the store and try to buy the Malafamena off the store using the code word. Okay, so a little bit more housekeeping. We've got some as Joe's like to title it, Untapped for Trolls.
Untapped is for trolls.
Untapped is for trolls, apparently, unless you get a really good rating. And then Untapped is for brilliant breweries, as we've discovered. So Malafamena, as you know, straight to Untapped with it if you like it, okay?
If you like it. If you don't like it,
If you like it.
keep your opinions to yourself. You know what your mother always said. If you don't have anything nice to say,
Okay.
don't say anything at all.
We just got some in. Someone's just bought the case off the store.
It's because of that fantastic Italian of mine.
Yeah, the Italian really was unveiling it. The third question, I'm just going to jump to it. The third question in the quiz was, didn't he do a Smithwick's ad, actually? And the answer was Toto Schillaci, hence from where he lives, he can almost see the rains in Africa. Toto Schillaci, for those of you who don't remember him, and for Joe, he scored against Ireland in the 1990 World Cup and knocked us out. He played for Italy in an Italian World Cup. The World Cup was held in Italy that year, and we just thought it was too good a link not to resist. He was a devil, but he also came here and made himself popular afterwards. I think he sold shoes and beer on the back of his reputation.
What did they win? They won a whole case.
They won a whole case. That's it over there. Whole case of Malafamena. So the last case.
I don't even have a
left-
whole case.
No, no one has a whole case. We actually had sold all the beer and sent most of it to Johnny, kept some for the Irish market, and then realised we had none for ourselves apart from that case.
Well, hopefully
Found in the
everybody
back.
likes it so we can brew it again.
Yeah, it
So
is the kind of collab.
If you're in Rome, get to Johnny's, buy it up because I want a whole case.
When in Rome.
When in
Yeah,
Rome.
when in
Yeah.
Rome.
So we give
Oh,
it
well.
to this guy.
Okay, Untapped for. Mets.
Compliments to the chef. I
Not so much
see.
you can do that.
Yeah.
We had another one which I just saw. Next one, if you can. This is just brilliant. This is someone who's come to
I
Untapped.
just saw the first word.
Is that the what's that one? Oh, that's another Dutch one. No, the Dutch joke has gone.
This guy here. Jack
This guy
in.
here. Go to the.
Fucking appalling. Jack is drinking the Puka Dry Hop Lemon Sour Apricot by the White Hag, and he's at home. You should probably stay there, Jack in. Stay home. Do us all a favor.
Yeah,
And
hopefully.
I bet you if you search the rest of his stuff, his favorite beer is probably Budweiser. 5 stars, Budweiser.
There is, it's the gift that keeps giving. Untapped is just full of this
trolls.
stuff. Yeah,
Untapped is for trolls.
And really good breweries.
I feel like
Couple
we
IPAs.
probably shouldn't keep doing this because what's going to happen is people are going to, they're going to be incentivized
To give us
to
really
troll
bad.
me.
No, but this one's actually really good. This one says, too weird, not unpleasant. Actually, I'm not sure. 3.5 stars. Because 3.5 is average, right?
Here, all I'm going to say is, you can say whatever you want, okay? But if you're going to give it a rating, at least consider the style and rate it based on the style and not how you feel. My favorite thing is when you see a guy who goes, oh my God, it's sour, and gives it like 0.25 stars. And then he says, I don't like sour. Okay, you can say that. It's not for me, whatever. Just don't rate it. Like, just don't rate it.
So Joe hasn't thought about this at all, obviously, and this is why we bring it up every week. We do this.
Untapped is for trolls.
Yeah. All right. Moving swiftly along. Now that the quiz is done, we have our next guest,
Fucking appalling.
who is someone who I don't think has been to Ireland before, but hopefully maybe in the future. Ken Grossman, live from Chico, California, is the founder and owner of Sierra Nevada, third biggest in the US, I think. Two large locations on either coast. Probably, from our perspective, the original import craft beer that came to Ireland 15, 20 years ago. And Ken, welcome.
Thank you. Yes, I have been to Ireland several times before. It's just been a number of years, so I have visited.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a
You
while.
you send your son. Brian is your son, right?
Brian is my son. Yep, he's been to Ireland, and my brother Steve has been, and my daughter Sierra actually made a trip to Ireland as well.
I had the pleasure of hanging out with Brian at a Sierra Nevada White Hag kind of tap event. He reminded me a lot of my own brother, so I kind of fell in love with the guy. He's a gentle soul, Brian. He's a good dude. And your brother Steve was
And
here.
you guys
last-
didn't get into too much trouble?
No comment. Nobody went to jail anyway.
Where was that? Was that in Italy?
No, I'm talking about in Dublin. We did that.
yeah,
I think it was
yeah.
the tap
Tapas on Ireland, yeah.
South Circular.
Yeah, yeah.
And then your brother Steve, right, was here last year
Yep.
at our International Beer Festival Hag Extravaganza. So
And he can put away oysters.
that dude loves oysters.
Loves oysters. He stood down at the
do
shoreline
I.
at the oyster farm, just hoovering them up like they were going out of fashion. Yeah, they had a good time.
Great family you have. Congratulations.
So, Ken, we've just launched a deep cut that we've made in collaboration with Johnny from Johnny's Off License in Rome. He was on just before you, and as part of this kind of launch series of events, which are caused by the fact that we can't host launch events in bars and off trade like we usually do, we thought, why the hell not reach out and talk to someone like you who has a lot of experience in the ups and downs of the brewing industry, but also has a really good beer coming out, which we'll touch on later on, just launched here this week. So thanks for joining us. I think the beer we want to taste, and the beer that we kind of unanimously in the brewery said we'd like to talk through with you, is Torpedo.
And I can actually explain that. So, Torpedo had a big impact on me as a young brewer. We spoke yesterday briefly just to kind of, get an idea of, for those that are just now tuning in, we spoke briefly, but I was explaining to Ken that I really wanted to talk about Torpedo, because it is available here in Ireland, but also Torpedo for me was kind of, I don't know, as a young brewer in the mid 2000s, Torpedo was kind of when I discovered it was almost a game changer as far as what I experienced, IPA to be. And then when I discovered what your process was, which if I recall, it's been a number of years, if I recall, you guys actually kind of made it public how you did Torpedo. And I'm not sure that everybody in this country understands the significance of how you did Torpedo and why that was different. But it's a beer that has a special place in my heart. And so I'd actually asked if we could get you to talk a little bit about it, if that was all right. So it's a beer I think that
Sure.
everybody should have in their fridge all the time. That's
I agree.
my point of view.
So I guess going back to the history of both the Torpedo, which is a vessel, it's actually a piece of equipment that we designed and built, as well as the name of the beer that sort of followed it. We started experimenting with dry hopping with whole cone hop in a little different manner. So we've been a whole cone hop brewer for 40 years. We still use, I think, probably the most whole cone hops of just about any brewer in the world. And we traditionally would dry hop with big bags of hops in the storage tank. So we would fill up these 30, 40-pound bags of hops, and we ended up putting hundreds of pounds of them into our storage tanks.
Yeah.
And so I started looking probably well over 20 years ago at a way to do that in line. So to try to take a stainless steel pipe and fill it full of whole cone hops and push the beer slowly through it. Similar to what Sam Caggione came up with for his Randall using a swimming pool filter. And so we started experimenting with that, I don't know, I'd say about 20 years ago, not very successfully. You couldn't have a very thick bed of hops without it blocking the flow of beer through it. And
Right.
so we started to work on a variation of that in a stainless steel tank I had, where we would pack the tank full of whole cone hops and then push beer up through the bed of hops, sort of like a big tea bag infuser. So we started working on that 1 year after Celebration Ale, and part of it was because Celebration Ale was getting so popular, we had problems having enough tanks that we could dry hop in. So we were looking for an external dry hopping vessel. And came up with this cylindrical tank that looks sort of like a torpedo. And we ended up calling the vessel the Torpedo, and then soon after came up with a beer that we called the Torpedo.
Sorry, Ken, I think we've kind of losing your mic a little bit. Is it possible to get maybe a little closer to your mic?
Yes. Is this better? Can you hear me any better now?
Better? I can hear him on feet. There it is, yeah.
You got it now?
Yep, got you now. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Okay. So I don't know what you didn't hear, but anyway, so we have a tank that we started to create called a torpedo vessel. And then we worked on a beer, and it was using, at the time, a hop called 114, which later became known as Citra. And so we were one of the first users of that variety. And we also featured Magnum and Crystal. And Crystal was a hop that I was very fond of from many years ago. Just loved the sort of spice and woody aroma that the Crystal hop had. And we made a beer called Crystal, which was 100% Crystal hops. And we wanted to blend that in with what would be called Citra. And then Magnum is an interesting bittering hop, but also has really pretty nice aroma. We started using American bred Magnums. It's a German hop originally, but they started growing it in the U.S. And one of the, I guess, attributes was the bitterness is not super high compared to sort of modern high alpha hops, but the bitterness is very pleasant, and it's got a really nice bitter character. So we both use Magnum for dry hopping as well as bittering in that beer. So we produced a beer using the Torpedo process and called the beer Torpedo.
Yeah, I tried to replicate your process at the last brewery I was at, but on a smaller scale in our brew pub. I found a large, I'd say it was probably a 100-gallon water filter housing, and we made a stainless pipe, and we called it the Hop Rocket. And it was all based on what you guys had done with the torpedo, and I found it to be an incredible. The hardest thing for us though was to do it on a large scale. Obviously, it requires a little bit of an investment or whatever. But it's,
I'm going to interrupt.
Yeah, we have dozens and dozens of torpedoes, so it's a big investment in hardware. And it's such a pain in the ass process, we figured nobody'd want to copy us. So we shared the concept, assuming it was so unpractical that nobody else would be crazy enough to do it. I can't hear you right now, but it looks like you're opening beers, so I'm going to do the same.
Yeah. You open one for me there as well, Joe.
hopefully you can hear myself.
Yeah.
Can I?
You got the mics back on?
When you say it's a pain in the ass, that's an understatement. The thing that we found was emptying the damn thing after it was finished and digging all the whole cone.
Yeah, so we have a special forklift we modified that grabs the torpedo tank and rotates it upside down, and then it takes a person to go in there with like a pitchfork and unload all the compressed hops. So yeah, it's a super labor intensive, expensive, and sort of a stupid way to dry hop, but it works really well.
Paper, scissors to see who's got to go in for it. Or just the low guy in the totem pole.
I'm just going to interrupt and say we've got some questions for Ken. We're going to say to you, if you want questions and you've got them lined up, put them on YouTube. Just get them on the YouTube comments. We'll scrape some off and throw them up on the screen here. And do you want to taste this?
I'm tasting it already.
I'm tasting it already as well. Do you want to bring us through it, Ken?
One thing.
Yeah, so to me, this when we first produced this was the beer I went through almost all the time. So I like hops. I like the hop and malt character. I'd say the Citra hop was sort of born out of this beer. We work a lot with hop breeders, and when we first smelled this hop back, I don't know, again, probably 15 years ago, we offered to buy a 5-acre plot, regardless of what came off of it. So we were one of the first to sort of push Citra. And then when Torpedo became so popular, well, to push the 114, when Torpedo became so popular, they named the hop Citra. And now it's, obviously one of the largest hops being grown for craft brewers.
Like one thing that I noticed initially with Torpedo that really stands out for me, and it's probably one of the things that I liked about it, was that you get all of that kind of hop oil, mouthfeel and all the body that you get from the hop oils. But the bitterness is still, just for me, perfect. It's like it has a really nice, that classic West, what we call now West Coast finish to it, without ever being like attacking, so you can tell that process, or it gets all of the goodness without kind of extracting any of that. And you get some of the kind of metallic bitterness when people over hop something or over boil hops.
Right.
And also with dry hopping, there's no vegetal character. There's no.
Yeah, well, one of the reasons we still use a lot of whole cone hops is because the bitter quality and the balance of the aroma to bitterness we tend to prefer with whole cone hops versus pellets. You're not getting the vegetal nature. You're not getting as much as the tannins. You're getting more of that hop flavor and aroma without some of the bitterness. I did see a question up there earlier about the fires we went through and now the COVID issue and how are we dealing with that. Certainly the fires we experienced were devastating for our community. We had, tens of thousands of people displaced, 15,000 homes or more burned. A lot of our employees were displaced, lost their homes. Very challenging for the surrounding communities who absorbed a lot of those people. We made a beer called Resilience, and we had huge participation from the brewing industry in the U.S. and around the world to help contribute to helping people get back on their feet. So that was a huge blow, and now our whole nation, the globe, is dealing with the COVID situation. Pretty different kind of challenge. Not that they aren't both huge challenges, but this one impacted the world in a way that is going to be hard to come out of. So thankfully, we're considered a essential business in the United States. So brewing beer is still going on, but we have large restaurants in both California and North Carolina, a tasting room down in Berkeley. We do a lot of events. We do a lot of tours. So all that's ended. Our packaged beer sales have been okay, but complete loss of draft beer and a pretty big percentage of our business has been difficult. But at least we're a brand that's been around long enough that we are able to sustain and keep people employed on the package side.
So a question to that, Ken. One of the comments we have is just acknowledging your experience. You've got 40 years of doing this. Probably one of the only people you can talk to who still completely owns their brewery 40 years after starting it, and therefore has taken full responsibility for their business and their employees through several different economic cycles. So you've gone through booms and busts both economically and in the beer business. And what we find interesting, because we're standing constantly at the edge of the abyss, because we don't know what's going to happen over the next couple of months, we're wondering, how do you face into a recession? This business, to be clear, we're in a warehouse that was built before the last recession, during the economic boom. The business was built out of a recession. So we were people who probably took a sense of what we wanted to do in life and were able to piece together a business and more of a lifestyle because of the last recession. But you've kind of rode the wave. What do you see that's common this time around, and what do you think as a brewery people need to do to survive?
Well, I mean, you certainly need to be nimble. You need to really focus on what it's going to take to ride through this. And so whatever you need to do decision-wise, act quickly. Try to be pretty decisive. Try to be resourceful and create ways to continue to get revenue in the door. We immediately started doing opened up our restaurants for to-go food delivery. Started doing a lot more on the e-commerce side. We started actively to try to keep everybody employed. We didn't lay off anybody, but we tried to make them productive in ways that would benefit the company and the brand. So interacting with our distributor partners, interacting with retailers, trying to support as many of the people who supported us along the way. So just figuring out how to keep that bond with your consumers. I mean, what you're doing here today is a great example of figuring out ways to keep connecting with people. We will come out of this. You just need to figure out how to hang on and do what you can to mitigate spending money, watch your cash, and try to figure out how to expand your business horizons maybe in areas you hadn't thought of before.
If if I may, there. Just so I was kind of talking yesterday how you started your career in it was the 70s, I believe.
Yeah.
Our connection yesterday was a bit choppy, but just from what I've learned about you, like I said, as a legend that you are over the years, I know that in my head you've probably lived through up till now about 3 I would call bubbles in the U.S. craft brewing scene. And this also kind of ties in. There was a question that came up about how you remained with the craft feel, but I think there's a very possibility that we might see this become, even though it wasn't an actual craft beer bubble, but it may actually become a bit of a, not so much a weed or outer or a bubble itself, but there are definitely going to be probably breweries that are not in a situation that are going to survive this. So that would make this your potentially fourth bubble, where the amount of active craft breweries reduces. So that the that had come up was, how you maintained your craft feel, even though you've grown over the years. And I think it's important for breweries like us who, in Ireland might be maybe mid-sized craft or towards the larger end of our production on the island. Keep in mind, it's a very small island. But I think it's a good question, how you maintain the craft beer feel. And especially as an American myself, I know the kind of conundrum that a brewery faces. They love you on your way up, and then if you start getting too big, all of a sudden they're like, oh, well, screw them guys. They're, I can buy their beer in a gas station.
Yeah.
Petrol station for the Irish.
But that hasn't happened. That hasn't happened with Sierra Nevada. It never feels like it's happened. It's like,
that is a challenge, and I think a lot of sort of the early craft brewers have faced that. I've talked to other established brewers, and you get to a certain size, and in some people's minds that equates to losing your soul or losing your quality. We've tried really hard to continue to innovate. We've really focused on quality. That's been sort of one of our hallmarks, is that we have continued to invest heavily in always being a better brewer, because I don't think you ever stop learning. I think as brewers, there's just such a world of science and experience and knowledge that you keep gaining, that you should never be complacent. And you need to also listen to your consumers and try to make sure you're staying relevant with what they're wanting to drink and with the changing styles. So, I mean, for us, we're true to our roots. We still bottle condition. We still use soak cone hops. We haven't changed our brewing philosophy, and we've continued to invest in being better at our art every day. And I think it's a testament to, a lot of brewers still have pale ale. A lot of commercial brewers still tell us pale ales are a go-to beer. So we really have never deviated from how we brew that beer and the recipe and the yeast we use. And even though our batches may have grown over the years, what we put into the beer has stayed the same. And we've tried to be humble about it. We're appreciative to all the people who have supported us all these years, and hopefully we can keep delivering on the promise we've made to them of making great beer.
Well, I can say about the pale ale thing is it was one of the first craft beers that I would ever allow into my heart in a can. So I was one of the last guys to ever accept craft beer in cans. I was the old craft.
I said never for quite a few years myself.
and you've got a barrel-aged stout in a pint can here.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Did it destroy you? Did it destroy your soul a little bit?
We gonna open this one now?
Yeah, I may as
All right,
well.
let's do it. Now,
So just for those of you listening,
Yeah.
we'll let Ken introduce it, but it's available right now on, in most really good independent off licenses around Ireland. It landed on Monday and it's getting around the country. Ken, do you want to introduce it?
Sure. So we've been doing this version for quite a few years. So this is a barrel-aged narwhal that we've been doing in 750s, and it's really a fantastic beer. Been one of my favorites for sort of a malty after dinner drink. And we made the call that let's see how this would do in a 16-ounce can. So aged for a year in the barrel. It's got a little bit of fresh narwhal blended in as well.
Really punches you right in the face, doesn't it?
So this has got a lot of roasted malts, roasted barley, caramel malts, chocolate malt, some, and obviously some pale, but it's got a big blend of roasted malts, and then it spends roughly a year in barrels. I saw the question pop up what my favorite beer was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never really answer that just because it's like having a favorite child you want to call out. You don't want to call out publicly. But I do tend to drink through our range of beers pretty regularly. And we're doing alcoholic kombucha now. So I was drinking kombucha yesterday. So we're quite diverse in what we brew these days. And we're keeping an open mind.
It does not work for us.
I'll have to come visit your brewery. I've heard good things about it.
Yeah. Well,
The
that's
question was, would we ever collaborate? So we can talk about that.
Yeah. No, that would be.
I was gonna say with the obviously brewers get asked that all the time. What's your favorite beer? What's your favorite beer? And everybody's got the same answer. It's like asking who's my favorite child. We all have one. You can't say it out loud.
Yeah. You're not allowed to say it unless it's someone else's beer.
Just kidding, Bella. I know my kids are watching this right now, and they're both probably fighting.
You told me your favorite kid was Ben.
And I didn't say that at all.
No, you did, yeah. Bella didn't like you for the first 2 years of her life.
She hated me.
Yeah.
Most daughters probably do.
Ben, it's you. For now. That's phenomenal. It's my first time tasting it.
I actually did a whole YouTube video, and it's mostly me fighting with myself about bottles and cans, and because like I said, I'm old school, but I've been pretty happy with our decision to move to cans, especially on the IPA side of things. But that could have been a little bit about the fact that our bottling line wasn't the best, but
it was crap.
At the end of the day, like I'm glad to see you guys doing your barrel aged stuff in cans, Ken, because
this was a big sort of a big bet for us to do because we got hundreds of wooden barrels aging, and we made this call. We're going to do it in cans. So I think it's going to do well. It's a really cool looking package. I love the beer. I got a question here. What's my favorite hop of the moment and why? I don't know that I'm going to call out one particular one. We use and we work again with a lot of breeders. And so we've got about a half a dozen new numbered varieties we're playing with right now, and some of them are pretty spectacular. Somebody mentioned Idaho 7. I think that was one of the hops used in the last one. So we're very good friends with that breeder in Idaho, and we've been using Idaho 7 again since it was a number, since he before he named it. And so there's a lot that are coming up that have some really interesting characteristics, and so there's dozens of them that we're playing with right now. My favorite of styles, I still probably stylistically would gravitate toward a fairly hoppy either East or West Coast. We've got our hazy little thing now, which is more of a East Coast style. And it's one I drink pretty regularly these days. But I still Celebration Ale when it comes out. It's my go-to. Torpedoes. This has been pretty much of a standard. Always pale when I'm wanting a beer I can drink several of at a sitting. It's moderate alcohol and bitterness isn't too overwhelming, so you can drink quite a few of them.
I said Sierra Pale was my lawnmower beer.
Yeah, it was
especially when it came out in cans, because you don't have to worry about dropping it and breaking the bottle.
Bottles of Founders, all the IPA and Pale Ale were they were luxury. I went to college. There was an off license at the end of our road. It was a really good bottle shop and had a wide selection of beer, which was unique at the time in Ireland. And they used to stock all the IPA and Pale Ale in bottle, which was amazing. But it was I'm talking once a month treat. At the time, we were too busy drinking the equivalent of Natty Ice, which was Dutch Gold.
You guys had Natty Ice here?
We went to California. I lived in Berkeley for a summer and drank suitcases of Natty Ice, and then
for
back
$10.
for $10, $12 down in just across the border into Oakland. There was they always had cheap beer there.
So I got a question here. When we decide to brew a new style, what drives the business decision, or drives our decision? Actually, a lot of things these days. We have a couple of research facilities. So we have a half hectoliter little brewery. We have a 12 hectoliter brewery, and we have a 25 hectoliter brewery. Besides 200 and 125 and two 200 hectoliter brew houses. So we've got a lot of flexibility in both R&D and in production. So our teams are brewing 3 to 6 different beers a week, and we just came out with Wild Little Thing. I don't know if you guys have seen that yet, but it might get over there. So it's a slightly sour. It's really interesting. We just did a pretty big kombucha project, so we're making 7% alcohol kombucha, and we worked really hard on the project. It was not a simple thing to achieve the balance of yeast and bacteria we wanted. So we were very focused on selecting the strains that went into our SCOBY. We worked with Oregon State University with a lady who was doing her PhD in kombucha culture. And so we looked at literally almost 100 different kombucha mixed culture strains, and we ended up developing our own. So it's got really good flavors. It doesn't have a lot of vinegar, not a lot of acetic acid character. It's primarily gluconic acid. We use Gluconobacter as one of the species in there. And so that's been a real exciting project, and one that we thought was in our wheelhouse, in that we like to play around with yeast and bacteria. And so that one just seemed to be a segment that had a lot of potential. If you could make a really great tasting kombucha, it's all organic. It's naturally acidic and alcoholic. So it was a very daunting but fun project. But you want to keep a lot of those bugs out of the brewery, so we had to build separate fermentation cellars and separate packaging and all separate handling. So it's on its own complete little line and in its own cellar and kept very isolated from the rest of the brewery. So that was one that I'd say is probably the furthest out of the box that we've done. But as far as just new beer styles, we're always creating them and seeing what the consumer appeal would be and making sure it's something that we're comfortable with that fits the Sierra Nevada brand.
Fantastic. I think the benefit of being Sierra Nevada is having that kind of flexibility. Now you guys with 2 breweries on both sides of the a very large country, and sounds like you have a really good team. And hopefully,
Yeah, we got a great team. Yeah, really innovative and dedicated, and they're all working with social distancing and masks on right now, brewing beer. I'm up here in my office doing this. I'll go down and see how the team's going here shortly.
Bob's got a mask.
We've got masks.
Got a mask.
It's impossible to do a live stream, Ken. 2 meters apart.
See, we've got a Sierra Nevada version.
There it is.
Oh, there it is.
We've got a logo on ours.
Yeah, we've won somewhere on ours as well. It's subtle, really subtle. Our one is. Look at that, you wouldn't even notice it.
In fairness, Ken, we pretty much all live together here, so
Yeah.
if we're going to die, we're all going to die the same.
Whereas, I'm going to tell you something, Ken. Whereas yours were probably purpose made, ours were a load of T-shirts we got from China 3 years ago that were way too small for us.
No, we started out with ones we made from bed sheets. So yeah, Costco bed sheets were our first batch.
I'm sure they were cotton and not waterproof bed sheets. Look, so one thing we know is that it's like 10 o'clock in the morning in California, and we've had you through 2 beers
Yes,
already.
and actually, the funny thing is, I'm going right from here to drinking beer with people in Germany here next. I'm actually 10 minutes late. We're doing the same thing with a group of German folks. So I'm going to jump on that call, and I'm not sure what I'll drink for that one, but.
Good.
Yeah, we can let Joe stay on for the live stream because he's got German as well, some Dutch,
I
bit
have
of
zero
Italian.
German, but I'm happy to stay around and drink with you and the Germans.
Great, okay, that was the biggest hint ever to say you got to go. Thanks a million for joining us. It's been a pleasure. It was a pleasure having your team here last year and your brother and the guys from the East Coast Brewery. Hopefully, you will make it back yourself to Ireland for the next
Yes.
extravaganza.
It's been too long, Ken. It's been too long, man.
It's been longer than I
Sounds
thought it
good.
was. Yeah.
We're on the best coast. The west
Thank
coast. is
you
the
guys.
best coast.
Appreciate the time today.
Thank you, Ken. Talk to you soon.
Cheers, Ken. Thanks.
Okay, bye.
Wow. What about that?
What a legend.
A legend.
Yeah.
You forget how long that beer has been around.
Go F yourself, San Diego.
Yeah, phenomenal. That you don't want to say it when he's there on stream. He's gone, right?
Right.
But that
He
is
can't hear us anymore?
That is phenomenal, right?
We can confirm that he can't
Yeah,
hear
he's
us
gone.
anymore.
He's gone. Don't talk about him now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully he's too busy to look back at the live stream.
He's on his way to Germany right now.
Yeah, he was talking to people about quality for an hour before this, a quality beer live stream. That's dedication. Like when you're 40 years in the business, 40 years of experience, and you're getting up on Friday morning, drinking beer, doing live streams with people all around the world.
Well, I spent all week long trying to convince everybody that I wasn't excited to talk to Ken Grossman.
Didn't come in until 1 o'clock today. Did not come in until 1 o'clock. He was doing his hair and his eyebrows and his beard so well. He's got the t-shirt and t-shirt over t-shirt look going on as well.
We had the Hugh coming in going, dude, because Hugh, our normally on the ground in Dublin sales guy, just Sierra Nevada fanboy all the way.
Yeah, may as well be selling it.
Coming in, literally wanting to trade places with me, wishing he was me. And I'm just like, who? Ken Grossman? Yeah, I heard of him.
That was phenomenal in fairness. And it's a good opportunity.
Thanks, Ken. If you're watching this back, you probably don't have time to watch it back, but hey,
Yeah.
thanks for being on with us.
Yeah.
We're small beans, you're
Means
big
a lot.
beans.
Means a lot.
Means a lot.
We have some housekeeping to take care of as well because we're after running over time. Who knew it was going to run over time? Of course, it was going to run over time. We have some news.
Where are we?
We have that was our third beer out today, third beer launch. We have 2 more newish beers coming, or beers coming back in the next couple of weeks. We also have a new format of beer coming. I'm not sure if we're allowed to talk about it or if we're allowed to put an image up on screen. I think
for the boss.
I think it could be it could be a good time to do it. But we have some beer coming next week coming out, and it's going to be just a format we haven't done before. One thing we need to talk about, and loads of people have been asking us, is about Hagstravaganza, right? So, obviously you heard reference to it there. Ken's brother and one of the head brewers was here last year. This year we have an amazing lineup for Hagstravaganza, and then of course the current crisis puts it all in jeopardy. So, it's not all in vain. Our intention is to still have Hagstravaganza, right? And until we're told we can't, it's on. But we got to put a contingency in place. And the contingency arrived from, basically from a pun, right? It arrived from Mike on Slack, calling it Boxstravaganza.
Yeah.
Where we do a virtual festival with all of the brewers brought through an online broadcast like this, where me and Joe start at about 9 a.m. and we basically start tasting beers with each brewer. But what we do is we get a beer from every brewery, stick it in a box, and send it to you all a week beforehand. And we run the festival all day Saturday. We host interviews and guided tastings live over the course of the day. You can go out and go to drink the beers, go to the toilet in the garden, queue up at your own kitchen fridge for about half an hour to get fed, come back to the couch, listen to us again, and then at the end you get into your hot press with whoever lives with you, and you sing for 25 minutes holding in a piss, and then you get out of the hot press and run to the toilet. So that basically replicates the train to Sligo.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're thinking of doing. Now we're literally telling you this as we're thinking about it, but really what we want to do is have Hagstravaganza come hell or high water and get you beers from around the world to basically say these are beers you should be tasting. Yeah. And there's some amazing breweries who we've met who are coming this year, and hopefully we'll be able to announce them because the festival will happen.
Breweries that we've met that I've been literally courting for years, and it took a lot of convincing, because some of them are coming from very, very far distances, so the plane tickets and all that are expensive. They're all busy.
Yeah.
They're all very, very busy breweries, and we finally got some of the ones that I wanted on board. I'm not going to mention any names because I know I'm going to immediately get texted and saying, "Told you I was your favorite brewery."
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's a shame what we're dealing with. But we still, the whole idea behind Hagstravaganza is to get you guys the beer that we love, that we've been fortunate enough to experience, that not everybody gets to do. So we still want to make that happen.
Yeah, and that's partly for us. So partly for us, you meet breweries like, I keep referencing these guys, but Schneeul from Berlin.
Yeah.
They're a brewery that you're never going to see
unless you were walking down the street passing Schneeul
in Berlin. In Berlin, or you're around Berlin. You're never going to see a true Berliner Weiss brewery unless you meet them. We met them at Berlo Brew Festival years ago. Myself and Mike met them, and we ended up talking to them and got them back here. And their beer won't be in Ireland. It just won't be in Ireland again. It's not in their ambition to be a Sierra Nevada.
They have like a 100-liter brew kit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's the beauty of Hagstravaganza, is to be able to bring that here.
Not only that, but something Schneeul did that they did in their preparation for Extravaganza. They took a collab we made with Berlo, and they re-fermented it. Remember that? The Bready Fool?
Bready Fool. They took the Fool's Gold.
Yeah.
And then she re-fermented it with her proprietary blend of Brett's, and she called it Bready Fool.
I sent 2 kegs over. Didn't need to do that. She wasn't, like, Uli was never going to sell a load of beer over here, but it was about coming and having an experience with us. So that's what Extravaganza is about. We're still going to try and carry that on and make sure that this that it happens again this year. But hopefully we will get to have a festival here back at the brewery this year, at least one of the taproom events. The thing you've all been waiting for is just going to come up on screen now. This is what's going to happen, hopefully by the end of next week. We are going to release a bunch of mini kegs. We have been absolutely harassed by people who are going, you're bound to have kegs in the brewery. You're bound to have a keg. I know you've got party pumps there that you can open kegs with. Can I get a keg off you? And of course you can't do that. You can't just give away your kegs or sell full kegs to people. So,
okay.
Well, you could, technically you could, but
They probably don't have the equipment.
They don't have the equipment. They don't have the know-how. They don't have the ability to get it back to us. So what have we done, Joe?
Well, looks like we're going to be filling these 5-liter kegs.
I love how Joe takes the technical approach to all the work that has to be done in the brewery, whereas my job was to get the kegs here and get the mock-up done.
Yeah, so we're talking about filling 5-liter kegs one at a time. But I would actually, that being said, it's going to be a lot of work.
Yeah.
At the same time, we're going to try to do it the best way we can. And it's going to be something that I actually want in my fridge, if my wife will let me put one in the fridge.
Yeah.
But
if you're allowed, but if you've got space in the fridge, if you haven't done like everyone else has done and got a second fridge for the crisis.
I actually bought a second fridge last week.
My fridge has stopped talking to me.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's like 20 times a day. I'll just go and have a little look in the fridge because there's shit on the telly. You open the fridge and the fridge, will you get away? I'm roasting from you open the door all the time. I think everyone's fridge is the same thing, just constantly looked at.
Bought a new fridge. And if anybody from Argos is watching, you lost out on about $120 because you decided that my little beer fridge wasn't necessary, but you'll sell a 2,000 euro fridge, but not a little 120 euro fridge. So unfortunately, I had to give Jeff Bezos a little bit more money because Argos Ireland didn't want to sell me a fridge.
We're now turning into a custom review show, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Same. Have we got time for a question? Yeah, if you've got questions, now's the time for them. Also, suggestions for other guests.
Here we go. We're looking at a screen here, so...
White Hag Brewing Company, Festanuda, and now Malafamena. Why do you keep sending my favourite beers to Italy? Well, that's what happens when you do a collaboration.
That's a good question, Jason M.
Jason M, if that is your real name. M. Are you related to Jason from the James Bond films? Or I mean M from the James Bond films.
Festanuda obviously was a collaboration between ourselves and Lambrata. But also as, like, if you, Jason, caught the first part of the broadcast there, we used to spend a lot of time in Italy, so we've made a lot of contacts and we've made a lot of friends in Italy, and both of those two beers that you mentioned are collaborations. So they and Joe secretly
lives in Italy. Yeah,
it's it just we've done collaborations all over the place. I think the Italians, like the whole idea, the name Festanuda literally means to party naked. They're very celebratory people. It's probably one of the reasons why I fell in love with them enough to learn their language, is a little bit.
Yeah.
And so very outgoing people, very loving people, and they're always wanting to do something. And it just so happens that these two fantastic beers came from that celebration.
There's talk of Festanuda happening again. There's talk of it being maybe a double batch and a two-way. With Lambrata. That beer is probably the highest rated beer we've made, I think.
I don't watch Untappd.
Yeah, he doesn't watch Untappd. You know this.
Untappd
Until you put stuff in front of him with really low ratings. But I will say about Italy, they have a huge affinity for Irish people. And so anyone who's been to Italy knows this. But the brewing scene there just love coming here, and vice versa. It's a huge audience for beer. And like you've seen, we could have hosted 10 different people from Italy on this show, and we might in the future, who sell our beer because I suppose we just get such good distribution and such good attention out there that I think we could do that. So Ivano from La Belle Alliance. La Belle Alliance is like the best pubs I've ever been to for craft beer, but like that's that guy has just a huge reputation in the north of Italy for selling beer with connections with breweries, for encouraging breweries to come out. It's like you go to some countries and you get a lot of encouragement. Almost, they're very welcoming, and Italy's one of those countries.
Yeah, and not to mention likes of like the Arrogant Sour Festival, and your man Ali runs that, and
yeah,
there's I could go on and on about Italy and the beer scene down there. They're very passionate people.
Yeah. But that's why this has happened. That's why the collab has happened. Other things, one thing we have actually, this is a very bizarre question, right? But we're going to throw it out there. And if you're on Facebook, please do comment on Facebook with an answer to this, same on YouTube. Paul has a fermenter open two fermenters open in June. Two fermenters. This is literally happening live.
2 fermenters.
What beer would you like to see brewed again? Right? Any beer of the 65, 70 plus we've brewed, what would you like to see brewed again for this summer? So at the moment, we're kind of running low on package beer, and we're getting as much as we can out there fresh. But we've got 2 fermenters open, and that means that we can plan beers probably in 4 weeks' time.
Yeah, like when you break it down, so what 60% of what we produce went into kegs. So
is there a Kolsch coming for the summer? Holy Jesus, who asked that? And have you been in the brewery?
Kolsch.
Kolsch.
Kolsch. Depends on where you live there, Michael Germer.
If you live
in Köln, you live
I'm gonna guess you're German.
If he's German.
With that name, or French. We have a collab coming up with a French brewery, which is a Kolsch.
Which is a Kolsch. It's a vowel we don't use.
Yeah, we're very poor at it.
I've been practicing that vowel for like 5 years and I still can't get it.
How did you do it?
Our farmer, one of our main farmers is German, and he's from Köln. Yeah. So I said, how do you say this word? And he's like, oh, Köln. I'm like, and so I practice and practice.
It's
and he's like, you're not getting it. We used to make a Kolsch
called Danu,
and toying with the idea. I'm a big fan if they're done right, and now we're very fortunate. There's a new lab that can grow yeast for us on demand down in the southeastern part of the country, of which nobody knows about this, but of which we just this week brewed a Kolsch.
So we did the Kolsch this week.
Because I didn't want to do it until we could get a proper yeast for it. Yeah. Philip Nutt, I believe is his name. Knut. Produced it for us. Very happy with that.
Fla. Everyone's shouting about Fla.
Unpaid plug here, but if you hear bubbles, that's what's going on in the back. So there you go, Mike. Yeah. Michael.
Everyone is shouting for Fla.
Everybody is shouting for Fla.
Fla is a beer we haven't made in, the original Fla, which was a 7.2% beer. We launched it during the Fla 2014, and Sligo town was not the same since. People are drinking pints of a 7.2% beer because bartenders in Sligo did not have a glass size less than 1 pint, and they were serving a 7.2%.
And had they ever had a 7.2% on draft?
No, never happened.
What hops are in Festanuda? There's no hops in Festanuda. That's all about sugar. There's a little bit of hops. If you were on earlier for Ken Grossman talked about Magnum hops. Magnum hops are originally a German variety hop that was grown to produce a lot of alpha acids, which equals a lot of bitterness with a little bit of hops. So we use that. Magnum because we can throw like just a little bit in there. We're not trying to get bitterness in Festanuda. There's barrel aging, there's roasted barley, there's all kinds of stuff in there that's going to help balance the sweetness. But nope, really no hops in Festanuda. What's this? Little Fawn. What does that mean?
That means someone wants to see Little Fawn brewed again.
Stephen Gomez.
Stevie
Stephen Games from Schwinford asks. Well, that's actually not a question. It just says Little Fawn. There's no punctuation. There's no anything there.
He's like Stephen. Stephen's just one of those fanboys.
Steve Games. I'd say he's.
The other thing,
Schwinford.
We're looking for people to suggest what beer they want to see brewed again, and also it's also worth us kind of thinking about what's the reaction to the mini keg. Have we got any feedback on the mini keg? What do people think about mini keg? That was literally a mock-up you saw. But
thumbs up or thumbs down.
But actually, we are definitely going to package in that beer next week. We're doing a trial batch.
Whether you like it or not.
People want, whether you like it or not. So one of the things that we got to kind of fess up about is that planning for extravaganza, planning our beer here, we have to understand what demand is going to be like. So when we're deciding whether we keg beer or can beer, and we're 100% canning beer at the moment, down to having to do double shifts here from 8 in the morning till 8 at night.
10?
Just a can beer, 10, so bitter. We have to understand what type of beer we're going to make, and then how we're going to package it and what formats it's going to go out in. So one of the challenges we have is kind of forecasting that, and in the current climate it's really hard to forecast how we're going to sell beer and who we're going to sell it to. The idea of trialing a batch of the mini kegs is for people who might want to have a pint at home and want that draft function, feel. That kind of, because we do it. So when Joe arrived first, he had the party pump keg.
Party pump, yeah.
Party pump. It sits onto a keg, screws in. Go on eBay and look at them. It's amazing.
Well,
so
if you can finish the keg basically that day.
Yeah.
Because
If you've got
it pumps air into it. But the same with these things.
you need to have a party. But these things are like obviously less than having a full keg there. The idea is you pop it. So do you want to explain the process in terms of filling it? Just so
Yes.
people know what they're buying.
Yes, well, we can fill these kegs, but at the same time, it's almost like for me, it's like a 5-liter growler. So
Yeah.
very, like, if we're being honest, it's like it's a 5-liter growler, but the way they're set up and the way we fill them, they get purged, they get pre-purged, so there is protection from oxygen. I'd say, most everybody watching this understands that oxygen is bad for beer. So you're going to get something unlike a growler that might get filled off of a tap. There's no pre-purging of the container. We can pre-purge.
Can be open at the back there.
That's definitely not happening. But so there's going to be pre-purging. They're going to get filled. So once they're sealed, they're fine. But at the same time, once they're opened, you can probably see in the picture there, there's like a little air bunk. There's no pressurization, so there's no like little CO2 canisters to pressurize it. It's still going to be a consume this in 2 or 3 days kind of thing, but you're going to get straight from the brewery freshness. You don't have to worry. If you don't open it, you can leave it in the fridge for weeks at a time without concern. But we're not really looking forward to filling them.
No, the filling them is going to be a pain in the arse, but the drinking of them is going to be the crack.
Yeah.
And that's where you'll enjoy it.
And at the same time, like I said earlier, I wouldn't mind having one myself in the fridge there, because it is really there's nothing that beats kind of draft.
No, nothing beats draft.
Nothing beats draft.
Nothing beats draft. We know this. Everyone. So not to really rub it in, but we're all missing the pub. We're all missing draft. We're missing nitro pints. We're missing cold glasses. We're missing the company and that environment. And hopefully that'll come back. But what you have in front of you right now is the benefit, or what you used to have in front of you, was the benefit of doing a live tasting with someone with a award-winning, huge, globally recognized brewery. Is they give you a couple of samples of some really interesting beers. This is, well, I'll let Joe explain it. It's a beer we literally got into the brewery today, thanks to Rustler from Grand Cru for dropping this down.
Grand Cru beers.
Grand Cru beers.
Life and Limb.
Life and Limb,
I've
yeah.
actually never had this. Ale brewed with maple syrup and birch syrup.
Yeah.
We are proud to share our third version of Life and Limb with its thousands of other branches that collectively comprise the craft brewing family tree. Sip slowly with friends and loved ones, and savor long, because one could do better than be a swigger of birches.
It's a collab between Sierra Nevada and Dogfish Head. And
there you go.
I am really looking forward to tasting this. Yeah. Not something that was on the plan, not something you can buy yet.
It's not available in Ireland.
Not available in Ireland
yet.
Oh, well, if it's here, then it means that Rustler had it.
Then
it means
Grand
that
Cru
Grand Cru have it. Then it might
that
be.
means we might actually have given away a secret.
Yeah. Little phone and bigger cans, please.
Like a 5-liter can?
5-liter can, yeah. We've just done that. We've just announced it there. Sorry, you might have seen that.
I would love to do little phone in bigger cans. Doing things in bigger cans means less time standing at the canning line. Make sense? I also prefer to get up off the couch to the fridge and back less times.
But I prefer when you're finishing your beer for it to be colder and still carbonated. So I prefer smaller cans, and I prefer more often. That's what we're aiming for.
Is that the end of the questions?
Is there any more questions? Is there anything else needs to be said or dealt with? If not,
I'll
we're going to say,
I'll go home and eat dinner.
yeah, there's dinner. Hopefully there's still dinner at home.
Would the mini keg be available online?
The mini keg will be available online. The
100%.
mini keg will be available on the store. We're aiming for kind of end of next week, start of the week after that. All go well.
It's that games guy.
Games guy, yeah.
Games.
When Steve Games,
He loves being called Games.
when he went to Edinburgh, himself and Gary went, and I put them down as fake names. I give them fake names when I register them for the event. They did with the Edinburgh, up to Scotland, with the Edinburgh Craft Beer Festival, and I put them down as, oh, he knows this. I can't remember the name. I put them down as a fake name that was really embarrassing. Anyways, there's the cans again.
There's the big cans.
There's the big cans, small
Large
cans.
5 liter cans.
Far away.
5 liter cans, a little fun.
Cans
Who is Steve?
close, cans
Sorry.
far away.
Steve Games is a very dear man to us. He worked here until he had to move because his wife wouldn't let him work in the brewery anymore.
You can't say that on the fucking internet. You cannot say that on the internet. That didn't happen.
It was
That
a
didn't
joke.
happen.
It's a big joke.
That's not a big joke.
It's actually an inside joke with Steve.
The man moved to work in a place
An hour
servicing
away from
hospital
his
beds, servicing hospital beds just before a pandemic. The guy had foresight. He knew what was happening. He's actually raking it in. He's on overtime back there at the moment. No.
Steve
No.
Steve was a man of.
His wife's amazing as well. Came here and worked on the tap room events.
She's
great
amazing.
craft. Great fun.
She's amazing. He was driving an hour every day to work with us.
Yeah.
And then right before the pandemic, took a job working on medical devices.
Great guy. Okay, we're going to wrap up. We're going to finish up. 2 quick things. One, if you're waiting on beer from us and it didn't arrive for tonight's event, we're really, really sorry. Our courier partners, DPD, are under massive pressure. There's just an exponential amount of online retail happening everywhere. And the couriers are under a lot of pressure, so please don't give them any guff. We got the beer out as quickly as we could on Monday, and some of it is still being delivered. Meanwhile, some of it we sent last night, and it delivered this morning. So just be patient.
It's kind of hit or miss what you're getting there.
It is hit or miss. But
Even the couriers are humans.
they are human. Still
And
human.
vans. Humans and
They're
vans.
still humans. They're
They're
still
half human, half an.
The other thing is, we hugely appreciate the support, right? And I know I've promised to do this, and we still haven't done it. I'm going to put together a collection of the comments you make in the little note box when you make an order online, because it keeps us sane. It's unbelievable, the humor and the observation that you make. We really appreciate it, and we really appreciate the support. Also, a big shout out to 16 or 17 off licenses and bottle shops who supported tonight's event. They put the beer out straight away. I think it's sold out. We have none of the beer left in any case, but they're a huge part of getting our beer into your hands. An awful lot of people want to get a couple of bottles, and the guys who are near them, who are local, who are selling great beer, including Sierra Nevada, are crucial to us continuing what we do. So, thanks a million. Thanks for tuning in to Between Two Ferms.
Is this the part where we ask them to smash the like button and hit that subscribe?
Hit the like button, hit subscribe. If you know anyone who has a YouTube account,
Smash that like
we
button.
should really have one of those things where you go over and shit at this.
We don't want you to like it. We don't want you to subscribe.
Smash the like button. Smash the like button.
like button.
Please do hit the subscribe button, and thanks.
Thank you.
Thank
Cheers.
you. Cheers.
Good night.
Good night.
Ciao.
Ciao.